Now add to this the lengthening of the spine. So instead of lifting the chin when you lengthen the spine, imagine the very top of the head growing farther away from the tail, so that each vertebra along your spine is getting a little bit farther apart. And begin to, if you've moved a little bit or shifted a little, to settle into stillness, staying with this idea of inhaling and feeling the awareness rest in the hips. And then exhaling and growing tall, long in the spine with the exhale. And again, inhaling and pausing at the top of the inhale, feeling weight in the hips. And then exhaling and growing really tall. And this is not a movement at all. It's simply where your awareness goes. We call awareness in yoga, we call that your chitta. Where is your attention? And so if it goes somewhere else, you just return it to this exercise. Inhaling at the top of the inhale, resting in the weight of the hips. And then exhaling and noticing the length of the spine. And we'll do 5 more breaths this way. Really try to stay in stillness for these 5 breaths. You've reached your 5 breaths. Bring your palms together in front of the chest. And I invite you to with me 3 times. Inhale. Great, nice. So I'm going to take the prop that I have underneath me out of the way. And then let's come to all fours. And I like to place my hands a little bit in front of my shoulders and a little wide, especially when I first start out my practice. And then in this position, still feel the core is engaged and lifted. And then begin to move into your cow. and your cat. And then come back to the neutral spine, so the flat back. And still with the arms a little bit in front of the shoulders, slide the shoulder blades around the rib cage and serratus puffs. And then now turn the elbows. So hold the spine again in the neutral spine. The elbows are a little bit soft and look at them. Like you want them to, the elbows to be facing out and the inner elbows to be facing each other. And then you're going to turn them so that they face back. So the points of the elbows face back. And then you're going to turn them to face each other. And you're just going to do this for a little bit and try to feel what muscles are involved. The hands do not need to move to do this. So if you're feeling like you need to move your hands, I mean, mine move a little bit, but they're not changing where they are on the mat. But if you're feeling like you have to actually change that, then just don't turn as much. So just don't turn your elbows as much so that you can keep the hands stable. And then I'm going to hold with the elbows in the position that I can get them the closest to pointing back. And then I'm going to pull up on my front ribs and bend the arms just a very little bit. So all I did was very little bit of bending. And I can feel as soon as I do that, my back has to work, my triceps have to work, and my core has to work a little bit. And I'm going to shift the weight a little bit forward so that it's like my shoulders are sliding forward. And then I'm going to let the hip weight shift back. So my weight goes all the way to the hips. Or not all the way, but just shifting the hips back. And then shifting the hips forward or the shoulders and head forward. So like that whole torso region is sliding forward and back. But I haven't changed my arms. They're still in this bent orientation. I'm just holding them there and I'm trying to feel how hard it is or how my body reacts to it. And what I can feel, stay with the weight a little bit back, is a fair amount of weight in the hands. And so if I just want to highlight, if you use your core more, knitting the front ribs in especially, it takes that weight, it reduces that weight. See if you can feel that. And then now let the hip weight go all the way back so that you are in a child's pose and you can allow the back to round. The chin is tucked. So try to feel in your own body, do you have what I like to call a divot in the back? And you know, that's a tight place because this is the primary curve of the spine. So in an ideal world, the spine would be able to go back to its primary curve once we established our secondary curves. And then come up from this, tuck the toes under and let the weight go back into the, over the heels. And you can either stay down with the toes tucked or you can come and kneel on the heels. And remember, for some of you guys, I've given you like different things to do for this. So you could have one leg at a time for this stretch. So the main thing is that the balls of the feet are connecting with the mat. That's kind of the main thing. And so if you're not able to do that with your toes, like they just won't do it, you know, you want your heels to be straight over the feet and the balls of the feet connected with the mat. So if you can't do it, you can alter this pose so that you're able to do it. And the other day, we did it standing in the 10 o'clock class on Friday. If you guys, for those of you guys that were here. And that's another way, but of course right now that wouldn't be convenient. And then not for our class. All right, and then now come down. You can untuck the toes, let the knees be wide and the big toes together. And then the arms are wide. And we're gonna slide into thread the needle. And the hips are gonna stay stable. I'm gonna hold one side. And I'm noticing that top shoulder. So see if you can get your right arm, like I actually didn't cue it, did I? Right? I did left arm under right. So whatever the top arm is, move the shoulder around. And I'm moving the shoulder blade up and down. And then I'm going to play around with movement in the shoulder blade. So you can just you can be a little creative with that. See if you can get it to loosen up and move around. So it doesn't have to, doesn't have to be any particular thing, but you could try all of its different directions. So the shoulder blade can go up and down. It can do protraction and retraction. And then I can do like circling movements with my shoulder itself. And I could go the other way with it. But I'm trying to get the movement to be in the back. And then we'll come up and we'll do the same on the other side. And then I'm going to come up and out of that. And then let's flip around for a sec and sit with the legs out in front. And in this position, if you want to grab something to sit on, you can. The goal of this that we're going to do is this thing I call going on a bear hunt, where you're releasing tension by shaking the legs. So if you want to try to get them to be kind of floopy, loose and floopy, you're trying to get them to release. So the tighter your legs are, the harder, yeah, going on a bear hunt. I think I used to do it this way, didn't I? And then sometimes we used to do it like this, right? I don't know. I'm trying to remember going on a bear hunt. It's been a while. So I'm just trying to get that to release. And if you need to lean back because your legs are really tight, I'm just going to give you permission. If you didn't get your prop under your hips, I'm just going to give you permission to lean back and see if that helps you release it. Because the main thing is we're just trying to release them. Okay, so now we're going to come around again and tuck the toes under. And then from here, lift up into a small down dog. And so this is not a very big dog. And I've got my knees bent. And the whole thing in down dog is these broad shoulders, getting the length from the crown of the head to the tail. I've got my knees bent. Did I say that? I think I said it. And then I'm going to walk the hands towards the feet and lengthen my spine so I come into a flat back and bend the legs. Send the tail back or up. And then if you need to be higher, you can come higher. But you want that flat back and you want to feel a stretch in the back of the thighs. The knees, I would strongly encourage you to bend them. You want it to be right in the middle of the thighs. The tail goes up, the spine is long. It shouldn't feel like a squat. So what it feels like is you're trying to send your tail up and make length between the back of your sit bones and the back of the knees. So you're just kind of working on that. And we're just going to take a few breaths. This is a hamstring stretch. That's why we're doing it, because the hamstrings being tight really makes the sun salutation torture. All right, and then now I'm going to sit back really far and come up. So this pose right here, where we reach and we lift up, we did at the beginning of this whole 7-week thing that we've been working on. This is week 6, by the way. And this is one of the poses that is called bear pose. And I would be inclined to call this one squatting bear. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back down onto the mat. And it's going to feel, I think, much looser. And then we're going to do this again 2 more times. So what we're doing here is sitting way back, lifting off your thighs. This is working quads. So see if you can feel the quads are really working. Get length in the spine. Really try to, don't round it. And then go back down again. And then you'll feel how much easier it is to lengthen your hamstrings after working your quads. Try to lengthen the hamstrings. And then go into your squat, your bear squat. This is hard work. And then again, back down again, and try to see the length in the hamstrings. And then from here, I'm going to walk the hands forward and come into a plank. I'm just kind of hanging out in the plank. I'm not lazy or anything, but I just want to feel it. Feel the plank. Try to feel what's going on with the body. Couple things to check. Where's your head in space? What are your shoulders doing? What's your low back doing? What are your hips doing? Hips and legs. And what are your heels or ankle region? What's going on there? And then from here, you can bring both knees down again. Good. Keep trying to get myself into both camera angles. I guess I'm just going to have to change the other one. All right, so we're going to start out with trying to decide what would be the best thing. I think we're actually going to start out with Sun Salutation A, and we'll do a gentle version. So from here, you can go back up into your down dog. And let's practice a few times, walking the feet forward towards the hands and walking them back. And we haven't done this in a while. If you guys remember, we used to do this in class all the time. So you're walking them towards the hands and you're walking them back. And it's okay if they don't get to the hands, right? I didn't say walk them to the hands. I just said towards. So you're just going towards. And you're trying to feel in your own body, how limited are you in this regard? And then on this last one, let's walk toward the hands. You get them as close as you can. And then get the weight into the legs and come all the way up. And I'm going to adjust this camera a little, I think. I wore pink and purple today for Valentine's Day. I had fun pulling that out of the cabinet. All right, I think this camera angle is going to work. Yeah, can't see my head, but I won't be here long. All right, so this is a Sun Salutation A. Sun Salutation A is often really approachable for people who have tight hamstrings. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I like it compared to the other choices. All right, you may be like, really? Compared to the other choices. All right, softness in the knees. Inhale the arms forward and up. Good, and then let's just side bend just to get that direction stretched out. So side bend, I went right. And then you can come on up and you can go left. I'm going to step away from the wall to go left. Maybe I need to move this. All right, good. And come on back. And then what we're going to do is bend the knees, slowly fold forward, and place the hands in front of the feet on the floor. The heels do not have to be on the floor. The knees really shouldn't be straight. And then what we're going to do is step one leg and then the other back into a plank. And you just come into your plank. Nice. And just use your core, really use your core here. And we can drop the knees and be a knees down plank. That would be fine. And we're going to do it anyway because that's where we're headed. And then we're gonna slowly lower by bending the arms in the way we practiced earlier to the mat. So you end up on your stomach on the mat. Then you inhale and lift up the chest, and you don't have to lift it high. Like if you're Pauline, what you're gonna do is just hug the shoulder blades together and just don't put the head on the floor. And maybe you don't use your hands. And then push into the floor back up to the plank with the knees down. And then tuck the toes under and go up into the down dog. And then from down dog, you just walk the feet slowly forward to wherever they go. And then wherever they go, you shift the weight into the legs, the arms can come up. Knees are really bent. And then you push into the floor and rise. All right, and then let's side bend. I know that might have felt like a lot. We haven't been doing them. I don't know why we stopped doing these during the pandemic. What was going on with me there? So I'm just doing some thigh bending. Let's do a little rotation, have a little softness in the knees. Arms are out to the side, and you're just gonna turn the torso without turning the hips. Okay, and then here goes again, inhale. And then we'll exhale, bend the knees, bring the hands down, let the heels come up. It's like you're diving into the swimming pool. And then from here, step one leg and then the other back for plank. You have to send them way back there. Think about, let's drop the knees. Think about the alignment of the elbows. Remember, they need to go back or mostly back. And then I'm going to lower down to the mat. And then in this position, you can do a very low. It doesn't have to be a big lift. Remember, we were doing it with the blankets underneath us. So just draw the shoulder blades together. You could go higher, but really make sure you're pulling the core in. So if you're capable of getting a good low cobra, so low cobra, you do not have hands working to do it. All right, and then release if you went high and use your core, pick up from your core to come back to your knees. And then tuck the toes and go into the down dog. Nice. And then it's a slow walk up to the front. And again, you don't have to get all the way to your hands. Wherever you get, just put the weight in the legs. And you can let the feet have the weight, the hands can come off the floor. If, for example, I only got a little bit forward, I didn't get all the way forward, then when I get done with that, I could just take a couple steps forward. So that would be fine, right? All right, so let's do one more like that. Softness in the knees. Let's inhale the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, get the hands down, the heels can come up. Good, and then step one leg and then the other back into your plank. Good, take a nice breath there, feel your plank. It's a core work, so try to reduce how much your shoulders are talking to you by softening between the shoulder blades. And then you can drop the knees from knees down plank. Good, and then elbows are gonna go back as you lower down. Good, and then inhale into cobra. So you should be flat on your stomach. Good, and then from there, if you came up, then you'll have to lower down, pull your core up and push back up to knees down plank. And then go up into down dog. And then from your down dog, you can walk your feet slowly forward. And it's okay if they don't get all the way there. Once, you can decide to do whatever needs to be done. And then you come all the way up. All right, great. All right, that looked okay. What we're gonna work on, believe it or not, and all that was knees down plank. Oh my gosh, I learned so much from working with Cindy last week, you guys, on knees down plank. And I always talk about how it's harder for me than it is, than regular plank is. And what I didn't recognize is that maybe the positioning that you've got selected in your knees down plank isn't quite getting it. So let's come to all fours. All right, and then we're gonna walk the hands a little bit forward and walk the knees back and go into knees down plank. And it's totally fine for your wrists to be in front of your shoulders if you have wrist issues, right? But you want your knees to walk back so that you can put yourself in a line between shoulders and knees. So your knees need to walk way back there, and you need to drop your hips kind of towards the floor a little bit if you're DD. And then Carolyn, see if you can soften in between your shoulders so that you've got that more of a connection, pull up on the core more as soon as you do it. Yep, and then a little bit of chin alignment, neck alignment, think about that. Good, really try to get this into a line between the shoulders and the knees. It's not a stick your butt up and drop your head pose. Good, and pull up, try to get your head in line, Pauline, see if you can. Good, let's do the breath. Let's do the core pulling in breath. So inhale, exhale, really pull it in. Again. One more. And then now slowly bend the arms and lower all the way down onto the mat so you're on your stomach. Good. So the trick to getting from knees down plank or plank to being flat on your stomach is that your feet have to be far enough away from your wrists, from your arms. And if they're too close, that's why people don't end up in the right place. They're like, how did you do that? It's because your feet were too close. So that's why that happens. So, and this needs to feel like that work we just did should feel like core work. All right, so while we're here, let's play around a little bit. So really reach the toes away, feel the front of the hips. The legs are going to be parallel and about hip width apart. Really reach the toes away, pull the core in, feel the front of the hips connecting with the mat. We've been doing this on a blanket or support. So today we're not. So I just want you to feel this. Instead of trying to lift your feet, see if you can get your thighs to become very light on the floor. So that's all you're trying to do. Just try, so your feet aren't coming off the floor, you're just trying to get your thighs light on the floor. And then if you want your feet to come a tiny little bit off the floor, tiny little bit, or if you want to keep your feet on the floor but lift your heels and get your thighs off that way, that would be kind of good. I kind of like it, like kind of tuck your toes. And then, oh, I like it. And send the heels back and lift the thighs off the floor. But don't, you can use your feet a little. Pull the core in a lot. All right, and then release that down. And now do one leg. So lift the right leg, left leg stays down. So the right leg's barely lifted. Try to lift, without lifting the foot much, try to lift the thigh off the floor without lifting your hip either. It's very confusing. So you're not lifting your hip, you're trying to get your thigh off the floor. And it won't go, it won't go much. And then switch sides, it's more the effort that's the idea. So you're not letting the left hip come off the floor, the foot's barely lifted. Try to get the left thigh to lift. Barely. And then put that down. Okay. Now to come out of this, bring the hands. So usually I put mine where my thumbs point out to the side and they're lined up with my nipples. And then my elbows are back. And what I do is I start by picking up my core first. So before I even push into the floor, I suck in my belly and then push into my knees to get off. And then from here, if we wanted to, why don't we do something fun? Let's go back into child's pose. Reach the hands forward. You can have them tented. You don't have to go really far back. Let's walk the hands over to the left and just pause there. And then we'll walk the hands over to the right and pause there. And then we can come back to center. And then walk the hands in. Okay. So now what we'll do is go back up into your down dog. And then remember, soft knees, the tail goes way back, the shoulders are broad, the core is pulled in. And then walk the hands back to the legs again. And send the hips way back into your, we're going to call it squatting bear pose. So it's a lot of quads, but you should feel a little bit more warmed up, so it maybe feels a little better. And then from here, slowly, slowly, slowly come up. All right, good. And then shift the weight into one leg. And you can just have, doesn't matter which leg, just have the other leg up. And take a second standing on that leg and see slowly how high, without changing your spine, can you bring the other leg? And it's okay if it's not, if you can't even do it at all. Okay, so you're just gonna see. And then we're gonna slowly put it down. So and then switch sides. So you're standing on the other one, and you can use your arms to help, whatever you need to do, but try to keep your spine from changing as you slowly lift the leg up. And you just see how high can you get it and keep your spine long. And then put that one down. And then let's do it again on the other side. And so I've been cheating and using my arms. So you get to a certain point, different muscles have to kick in to bring the knee above the hip. I don't know if you can feel that. And then this last little bit, I can't get the muscles to kick in without helping. And then we go to the other side. And it's those deep muscles in there that are helping people to step through or get their feet closer to their hands when they're walking forward. That's why we're doing this. I just wanted you to see if you could feel what's going on in there. So the weaker this is for you, the more difficult it is for you to bring this leg up with the spine staying relatively stable, the harder it is to step forward in Sun Salutations, right? Because there's muscles in here that have to do something that they're not doing, is kind of what it is. All right, so let's do, while we're here, let's do a couple poses I have to cover for the WOMU folks. So we'll go into our little bit of a chair pose here. And it's not a very deep chair, but it's a good chair, right? And so chair pose, you know, usually has the arms up. You can use your arms if you have issues with keeping your back flat. Otherwise, use your core muscles. And then press the palms. And then we're going to twist. And you can twist one way without changing your hips, and twist the other way without changing your hips. And so this is revolved chair pose. And you're not turning your hips. It's not side bending either. Be really careful about not confusing the two. Okay, rise up. Let's try it without being in much of a squat at all. Just have a little bend. And try it here. Try to feel what needs to kick in to stabilize your hips. Release that. All right, so then we'll come down, bring the hands down, walk the hands out a little, and bring the knees down. And I'm going to show you a bear pose that I would call crouching bear or crawling bear even. So I guess I would say crouching bear would be if we're not moving, and crawling bear is going to be when it's a bear crawl then. So the crouching bear, you know, the toes are tucked, the knees are up. My knees aren't on the mat, see? And then crawling, I wonder if I should be doing opposite arm and leg. I probably should be. Let's see, so I should probably do that. Okay, so crawling. And if you want to try it, it's good work. So play around with that a little bit. Play around with your crawling. So crawling, we're moving up arms and legs, but it's okay if you choose to only move one, I guess. Good. And then the crouching, you're just holding it. Okay, good, great. It's hard. It's hard, and where I feel it is leg strength. That's what I feel. But you know, you may feel a lot of other things going on too. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, so grab your blocks. I said we were going to need them. And we'll go to the highest height. I wonder how to get in the screen here. Oh yeah, that's going to be better. I'm like way back on my map, but I'm trying to get in the other camera angle. All right, so I've got the blocks. They're on their highest height. I'm just going to bring in one leg and then put it down. And so what I'm doing here is my foot is still kind of on the floor. I'm just letting the top of my foot lightly drag along the floor. But the main thing is that I am not trying to step my foot forward between my hands incorrectly. What I'm doing is I'm practicing tracking my knee straight forward with the top of my foot on the floor. And I want, no, Pauline. And I want not what you're doing, Marilyn, not what you're doing, Pauline. And I want to feel the core engage in there, and I want to feel the deep muscles. So we're not putting our foot forward. What you're doing is you're bringing your knee forward and pausing with the foot on the floor. Look at the top of my foot's on the floor. And I'm going to suck it up off the floor and put it back down. And don't hurt yourself. I'm making it harder to try to get you guys to notice what we're actually trying to do. So this might be too hard. So do not hurt yourself. If you can suck it up and put it down, you're not trying to bring it forward. You're trying to use your muscle correctly. It's not about a goal of moving your foot. It's about the muscle. Okay, put it down. Try the other side. So bring the leg forward. You're holding it forward. And then all you're doing is holding it up by picking the foot up off the floor for a second, putting it back down. It's totally okay if you don't pick it up off the floor. No, don't cheat. I see you trying to go back into your habits. You guys have some bad habits I caught you doing in class on Friday, and I was utterly stymied because we haven't worked on this in forever, and these bad habits were showing up, and I was freaking out. All right, so I want to show you guys something. So for years and years, you know, people did sun salutations in class, and they know they have to get their foot stepped forward, right? So what they do is they come up with a way to get it forward, and it could be any number of things. You can really arch your back like crazy. You can go to bring it forward, and you can take it around, right? You could do horrible, horrible things like swing it forward with all your momentum coming from your back. That's horrible. Don't do that. Oh my God. That is how you will irritate your vertebra. Please, 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 no, no, no. All right, so the way we're supposed to be getting it forward, I'm just having a little spaz, I'm sorry. Forgive me. All right, it's my Valentine's Day spaz. So the way we're supposed to be getting it forward is to use the control. And if you notice, I took it straight forward and I sucked it in to get it there. All right, so that I have the control in my hip to send the leg forward. Wherever it goes, it goes. If it doesn't make it, I do not swing it with momentum. Please, please do not do that. That will really injure you. I want to cry thinking about it. I can't believe I've witnessed it. All right, so let's go ahead and grab the chair so we can practice healthfully. So the first thing we're going to do is a series of step backs, and we're going to try to feel the movements without, you know, needing, because the chair really elevates the floor, so it makes a huge difference for sun salutation. All right, so first thing is to inhale the arms up. So these are going to be called step backs. You fold forward, the hands are on the chair. And then really check in with your hips before you step. All right, so really feel them. Get your back engaged. You know, you got the shoulder blades drawn in, you got the ribs drawn in. You got the inner legs active. And then we're not even going to step back in the lunge. You're just going to pick up the right leg and kind of balance there. Feel the deep hips that need to be active to support you in this position. So you didn't shift your weight to the left a whole lot. You just picked up the foot and everything had to kick in differently. And then you put that down and then you do the other side. So feel, you're standing on one leg. You can use your arms a little bit, but feel the inner hip, the outer hip, the front and the back, all working together as a team here. And then switch again. You're really feeling this, feeling the teamwork. And again, to the standing leg, you're thinking about standing leg. Okay, and then on this next one, the standing leg's the right leg. So the left leg's the one that's working. Take the right leg way back and then stop. Your front leg should be bent. Good, bend it as much as you possibly can and put the foot down. Cool. All right, then we're gonna bend the back leg and step forward. So use momentum. All right, do the same leg again. So just totally stable. You're standing on this left leg and that left leg and hip and everything's stable. You're not, see, people do that. See that? No, this is it. It's not here. No, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so be yes, yes, yes. And then you're going to take the leg back and stop. Again, that back hip's not up. And then you're going to bend the front leg until the back leg goes down. Good. And then let's do it again. So you bend the back leg, push, and come forward. We'll do one more on this side. So bend the right leg. Good, and then feel your hips are still totally stable. You're really stabilizing them with the deep muscles. You're gonna take the leg back and then you're gonna bend the front leg to put it down. Okay, and then now let's step the other leg back and go into down dog just for funsies. So just be in your down dog, get it like a really long, awesome down dog. Feel how wonderful it is with the elevation of the chair. You can really get your spine super long, pull the core in like crazy. Right, and then from here, we'll set the other leg forward. So let's do right leg forward now. And then to get the left leg forward, you can bend the back leg and push. All right, and then here goes. Practice being on the left leg. It's a balancing pose, and you have to feel in, before you go back, feel in your hips, the inner hip stuff happening that we've been working on the first week, the first 2 weeks especially. Remember all that? Hip stability. And then take the leg back and hold it back. Hip stability. This is harder hip stability. Then bend the front leg to put the back leg down. All right, and then now use the back leg for a little momentum. Stand up, back, forward. We're going to do this 3 times total. Please go as slow as you can. If it is difficult for you to hold stability with one leg off the floor, it's going to be even harder for you to take the leg back. So go slowly taking it back, and you don't have to take it back as far as me. You just go wherever you go. Like I'm doing a straight leg, but maybe you don't. But you're feeling in your hip that there's a lot to stabilize there. And then you bend the front leg to go back. And then let's do it again. We got one more. To really check in before you even start, make sure your back is flat. Your knees are bent, your hips are stable, your tail is back. And then pick up the knee or pick up the foot, you know, and then slowly take it back and then slowly put it down. All right, and then we can go to down dog again and just kind of stretch it out. So, okay, so the challenge is not to use momentum to try to move yourself through the sun salutation if you're really flexible. So for people who are really flexible, they can cheat themselves through it, but don't, because it's gonna be injurious. It's injurious movement. All right, so the back legs are back there. All we're gonna do is pick up the right leg and don't go too far forward, just suck it up. Try to get your back to be kind of like a plank. Pull the core up and then put it back and switch sides. So you can see how I'm doing this. I'm not going very far forward. And the work is in your hips. It's hips and core. So you might be feeling upper body, but that's not the point. So don't go too far forward. If you go too far forward, you'll lose this beginning work. So you want to kind of stay back and feel the work less in the upper body. Soften the chest. Let the shoulders support you. Make the work happen in the core. Make the work happen in the hips. You're just kind of going. You want to feel that same sucking in sensation we felt before, remember? When we were trying to bring the leg forward. All right, so now here goes. Lift it up and come forward so you are over where you're going to put the foot and then put it down. Now, in this position, I'm not in a very big lunge right now. So that's a good place. Don't make the lunge big. Because what I'm gonna do something that I don't want it to be big. All right, so what you're gonna do is pick the heel up off the floor, but let the ball of the foot be down with the toes spread. And don't let your hips twist or hike. And then put the heel back down again. So feel in your hips, like get a long spine, pull the core in like crazy, get your chest up. Really feel yourself, your upper body, it's like you're doing a plank. And then now just change the foot. And so you have to work more. It's more core then. And then put it back down. Can you feel the more core? Sucking it up. Okay, good. Cindy says she can. And then put it down. Marilyn, can you feel the more core? She can't feel it. She can't get the more core to do it. All right, thank you for telling me. All right, so let the weight go more into the back leg. Yeah, and like now it doesn't mean that you were doing it wrong, but I'm just trying to get you to feel it. So I've got the weight in the back leg. All right, and then I'm going to pick up the front leg and suck it up in my core without hiking my hip. And if you need to make it harder, you can pick it up off the floor, but I hesitate to have you make it harder. And then put it back down. And I'm actually not doing it with like a core wave in my back, but you could, right? That's like a core wave, right? But the truth is, I'm just asking you to keep a plank and pull it up. And so the front ribs really need to pull in a lot. All right, let's switch sides. So step back and then step the other leg forward slowly and put it down. And again, you're not in a very big lunge. Before we start going into all the work, feel in this position. Are your hips square? Make sure you do have some weight in that back leg. Pay attention to your back. We're not going to do like a core wave thing. We're going to hold the back in a plank. So really knit the front ribs in. Try to get the neck in line. Try to feel the shoulder blades are hugging towards each other. Then lift the heel a little bit off the floor and use your core to do it. And then put it back down. Did my adjustment help, Marilyn? Yeah, okay, good. And one side, on quite a few of you guys, one side's weaker than the other. And that is we figured out on Cindy why that was, which is really interesting. She has a little bit of discomfort in her back when she engages her low abs on the other side. So she stopped doing it because it doesn't feel good. But she's got to do it, unfortunately, because it's going to stabilize the back. So she needs to do it. So right now we're using low abs. Feel it. If you want to make it harder, you can pick it up. But like I said, you know, I don't think you need to. I don't want you to irritate anything. Okay, and then put it down and then step forward. And then let's come up. And I feel like I've been on my wrists a lot, so I'm just going to do some wrist circles. And then I think it'd be fun if we did like a little rocking horse or something. I think we did enough for today with this. So I'm going to pick up light hand weights. And the whole reason for the light hand weights are going to be forearm strengthening exercises. I'm just going to put them right here. And then we'll do a little rocking horse sequence. And so we're just going to step back with one leg and then step forward and then the other leg. And so you're practicing stepping back. The rocking horse sequence is a lot of things it does, but one of them is it's really good if you think you're going to lose your balance. So this is practicing, you know, staying on your feet. The whole rocking horse sequence is about helping you to have a normal gait, helping you to have things you can do to catch yourself and to keep your balance while you're walking. All right, so we'll do the right leg back and have your hips square with the front. Remember, you can make modifications in this. You can have the back heel off as long as you're directing it towards the floor. You can have both knees bent, but what you want is for your hip to be square. And then whatever you choose, take your arms out. We haven't done this in a little while. This is our tightrope walk. So you just close your eyes. It's a little challenging with the balance is all. and you can open your eyes. And then now, if your back heel can go down, keep it down. But if you need to have it up and soften the knee and just direct it back, that's okay. The thing is, you're going to hinge the hip to have a flat back. And this is pyramid pose, right? Which you guys know. And the front knee, I'm totally fine with it being bent. In fact, I like the both legs being a little soft. I totally changed my mind about that over the years. And then now I'm going to pick up the hand weights while I'm here. And then you can even use the chair if you want. Draw your shoulder blades together and knit your front ribs in and release. So just do that. I've got my hands on resting on the chair. And I'm just doing my back and front ribs. If you wanted to use the added weight in the hands, you could do that. Your elbows would be at your sides. And the whole thing is shoulder blades drawing together, front ribs knitting in. Shoulder blades drawing together, front ribs knitting in. Nice. And last one. And then we'll come all the way up. And then you're going to be here and do some flexion and extension. My fingers are facing back. We've been doing this one for a while. And then now I'm going to turn them over and hold them in a little bit of a bicep engagement. Hold them really stable. Make sure the weight is in the front and back leg. And without the hips moving, do rotation. Cool. Feel the inner legs lifting up and in like we've been practicing. And then let's put the weights down. And then come back up. Take your hands. I guess we could have kept the weights for what I'm about to do. I didn't think about it. All right. So this front of the chest right here, we're going to try to get to open. And mine doesn't open very well either. So I'm going to just move it around. I'm trying to loosen it up. Try to loosen it up in there. All right. And then I'm going to take my hands at my hips or maybe in my pockets like Mick Jagger. And then send my elbows together. And if you feel tightness, try to, in the front of the neck or by the back of the neck or anything, try to move the action down your shoulder blades, drop the shoulder blades down and try to get the chest to open. So it's like you're puffing up your chest like a pigeon. And so it should feel like back work and a little bit of a chest opener. And then I'm going to release that and step forward and step the other leg back. And again, with the other leg back, have a little softness in the knees. The back heel can be down or directed down. The hips are square with the front. Take the arms out and close your eyes. And if it becomes hard to balance, that's the point of it. It is supposed to be hard to balance. So just work with it, you know, open them, close them again, whatever works. But you're trying to feel, let the reflexes kick in to balance you. Okay, and then open your eyes and then hinge forward at the hips with the flat back. And again, the back leg can be down or a little bit up, but you're directing it down. And then pick up the weights and either hold the elbows at the side or keep them on the chair. Either way. And then you're going to draw the shoulder blades together and pull the front ribs in and then release. Together and release. Pauline, keep yours on the chair. Good. And release. In and release. So it's not, I'm not really moving my arms, right? So like I have them on the chair. If I was by my elbows, I wouldn't be moving them either. I'm making myself work the place that doesn't want to work is what it is. It doesn't want to work, but I'm making it work. And then I'm going to come up, the palms face back, and I'm going to do flexion and extension. I've got the weight in both legs. Good, and this is forearm work. So it's not my elbows moving, it's my wrists moving. I'm trying to strengthen the forearms. All right, and then I'm going to flip over and then do stabilization as I hold my arms in a bicep action, and my hips are really stabilizing as I do rotation. Doing the best job I can of that. Okay, and then you can face front. And then let's step to the back leg for it. And then we can put these weights out of the way. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna move the chair out of the way. I'm sure it's time for relaxation, probably past time. Oh, no, good. We actually have time. Oh, good. That's really good. All right. So before we do relaxation, then let's do one more thing. I don't know, that went so fast. It was like lickety split. I didn't have to go right into it. All right, so we're gonna do one more thing here. Have a blanket for your knees. Have your blocks. Get one of your legs between the blocks. And then what we're gonna do is the hips are gonna stay square. So you're gonna look back at the back leg and you want your foot behind your knee. And I'm using the blocks. And then what I'm gonna do is pull my core in a whole lot and then shift my knee. Notice I've got my front foot pretty far forward. I'm pulling my core in a whole lot and shifting my hips forward, letting my knee go forward. And I've got a really long spine, which it looks like a lot of you guys have. So that's really good. Like really good. Okay. Let the hip weight shift back. And then see if you can move it a little bit gently forward and back. And I'm not doing a very big movement, but I'm keeping my back flat as I move the hips. So that's the thing that might be hard. Wow, Anne, that's so good. Really good stuff. That's some good stuff. All right, let's switch sides. So to switch sides, if you can pick up the leg and slide it straight back, do it. But if you can't do that, you're gonna have to get it there however you can, because we just have to do the other side. Same thing, try to get the leg straight forward, but you gotta get there how you can on the other side. I'm gonna put the foot kind of in front of my knee. See how far it is? And then I'm gonna shift my weight. And then in this position, I'm gonna really get a long spine, pull my core up like crazy, and then my core is really pulled in. Then I'm gonna move forward. And stay with the long spine. Now I'm going to shift back and forward, but the whole thing is I want to move the hips without changing my spine. So I'm trying not to lose the length in my spine. I'm trying not to round. So, and what I think happens with a lot of folks is when their front leg when their hips are tipping back, it starts to pull in some way on your back. So just, try to keep the spine long, keep the core pulled in, so that you don't get forced into a rounded spine. That's what your body will want to try to do. Okay, and then if you can pick up that front leg and slide it back, do it. And if you can't do it, that's okay. Go slow though. All right, so then now we'll go on our backs and we'll do some more things there. I have my bolster nearby because I'm gonna use it after we do all this stuff underneath my thighs. So anything that you think you'd like to release the hip flexors. So the hip flexors, we actually work them a lot. Sun Salutation really strengthens the hip flexors, which is really nice. So before we go into a relaxation though, first thing I thought we could do is have the legs at hip width and stable pelvis. Feel your stable pelvis, feel your stable back ribs, And then all you're gonna do is pick up, and this might not work for the one side for you, Cindy, so you just do what you can do. So all I did was hover my right leg off the floor so the foot's just not on the floor anymore. And then I'm gonna put it back down, and then I'm gonna hover the left leg. So I really didn't do much. For me, it doesn't feel like anything. However, what I would like you to be paying attention to is when you hover the right foot, can you hold deep in your hips, the inside part hugging in and up? So you're holding the inside part deep in your hips, in and up, when you're picking up the foot. And the back ribs are staying down, the pelvis is staying in neutral. So all I'm doing is hovering my foot, which is nothing, but I'm doing it with this awareness of the deep hips and feeling what's happening there. I want to feel everything pulling in and up. I want to feel my spine stay stable. So when I'm hovering the right foot, I'm just alternating sides. Both hips are on the floor and they're staying stable. And then I put that one down and I do the other one. Same thing, when I hover the foot, back ribs stay stable. And so hips and back ribs are staying stable. So I'm doing this and it doesn't feel like a lot, but there's an awareness that's necessary. And so I don't want you to be like, when you pick up the foot, you don't want something to come out of alignment. So some things that could be happening is if you feel when the foot comes up, you're much heavier on one side of the hips than the other all of a sudden. If you feel you moved your hips to lift it, if you feel you tucked your hips to lift it, if you feel your ribs change to lift it, right? Those kinds of things. So you don't want that happening. So you just want it to be super easy, okay, but stable, really stable. So picking up one side and then the other. And there shouldn't be pain with this action. So if there is pain with it, then there's something unstable. That's what that is. And so all I'm doing, and I've sped up now, so I'm almost marching, but you don't have to speed up. You can still go slow. And then I'm going to relax. So doing that, I had a lot of engagement all around my whole hip so that I could do that action without losing my stability. All right, so now you're going to cross the right leg over the left and just pause there. And again, it doesn't need to be open much, but you're feeling the stability in the hips. And then if you want to, you can play around by you can lift up. And I like to do this in all those different ways. I like to do it with a neutral pelvis and my ribs in place. And then I like to add to it and do it with the block underneath my hips and really go crazy with it. This feels amazing to me. This is one of my favorite stretches for my back. But do be mindful that I would say this one isn't for everybody. I just think it feels really good, but I am very tight here. And I have a real divot in my back. I have a really deep lumbar curve. All right, and then I'm going to switch sides. So I'm going to come down, take the block away, do the other leg first without the block, and just do my neutral pelvis and feel, this feels different. You guys, I'm coming to see Paula on Thursday at 1. Is there anyone who wants me to come to them sometime around then? I can do earlier or later so that it's worth my trip to Newark. So I'm looking for people who want me to come check them. I'd be really happy to do it. I love coming to your house. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. So just let me know. So I'll be around Thursday, so let me know. All right, so I'm going to go up into the other one. So the way I get into the other one is I slide the block underneath with my foot on the floor, and then I pick up. Oh. Nice. And then you can come out of that one if you decided to do it and come down. And then now have the legs wide and the feet turned out and try to feel in your hips when you did that, you have to change some stuff in there. So try to feel the pelvis is relaxed and it allowed the change. So you're not like gripping. You're not gripping to hold it in the same place it was in before. Now it's different. So the knees are wide. So then I'm going to take the right leg and I'm just going to turn it inward and come back. And I'm moving my heel when I do it. And if you want your right hip to come up when you do it, that's fine. Right? So if you want the right hip to come up, I didn't put mine up, but you can. Right? So you can either let it come up a little bit or keep it down, but you're turning it inward. Go slowly. You want to feel what happens. You don't want it to affect your hips or your back. So this is internal rotation. We're just doing a gentle internal rotation. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to adjust my foot again, and I'm going to do the same into external. So I'm just doing a gentle, I'm not trying to force anything. I just want to feel. And I want to feel the muscles doing it. I want to feel the stability in the hips, and I just want to feel some opening and then back. So my foot's staying on the floor, and all I'm doing is moving my right leg a little bit open and then back. So it's not a big move. It's just but it might feel like a big thing. I don't know. And then we'll switch sides. So now on the other side, get yourself stable again. Really feel your hips are stable, your back is stable. Your knees are lined up with your feet. And relax in the hips. And then try to do internal rotation, and you don't have to go far. So what I want to feel as I do this is a lifting up and sucking in sensation in my hip. So it feels a little bit muscular when I'm doing this, and you can move your heel. And so the sensation of this, I'm not trying to go to the place where it hits the bone. I want to feel the muscle work. So you don't have to go very far. It could be really small. And the sensation of it isn't like a sharp pain or anything like that. It's just a little muscle work. It feels like I'm lifting up on my inner leg. It's the sensation. It's just a small thing. And then I'm going to go the other way. And again, same thing going the other way. I'm not trying to go really far. I'm not trying to get a huge move. I want to feel my hips are stable while I'm doing it, though. So I'm just feeling that there's not anything going anywhere. It's just my leg moving. And I feel the muscles around to stabilize. All right, good. And then now, if you want to do anything else before we relax, oh, look at that. I used up all that time. Isn't it funny? The whole rocking horse sequence took less time than me playing around on the mat. And then once you're ready, you can get into your relaxed. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is nice. To get supported, get relaxed. Oh, God, that's good. Huh. Go back to the place we were in the beginning. Only now, when you inhale, see if you can fill your back and feel the weight of your back. And then when you exhale, see if you can float off the floor in your mind. And you might imagine you're floating as long as you enjoy swimming. If you don't like swimming, do not do this. But if you enjoy swimming, imagine yourself floating in warm, safe water and inhaling, and the waves are just like you're in the trough part of a little wave, and then inhaling, and then you're in the top part, the crest part. And so you're just floating on the waves. Breathing with it, trying to stay with that. breaths, just floating, inhaling, feeling the back fill, a little bit of a drop in the way that you feel, and then exhaling and a little lifting, rising feeling. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and to that freedom for all. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You can stay right where you are, and I can put you in the breakout room, or you can move around a little bit. Take your time. Ready, you can roll to the side and slowly come up. All of you are loving and lovable. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste.